Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our live tarot session today, September 14th, 2024. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. So let's start off by giving a shout out to everyone here in the chat. Good evening and good to see you, Nikosmas. Good to see you, Gandhi. Christy, good to see you. Much love, D-Love. Good to see you, Valerie. Isaac, great to see you. Taz, good morning. Lisa, good to see you. Steve McQueen, much love. All right. Thank you guys for joining me first thing, bright and early for our evening tarot. All right. So let's start off by talking about our astrology. So the moon has now transitioned out of that hard-working, grounded, embodied earth energy of Capricorn, and we have moved into that Aquarius moon. That fluid, that boastful, transformative energy, right? That instinctive energy that drives us, right? When we're under this Aquarian moon, it's going to be really hard to keep a filter on our emotions. We're going to be in that provocative energy, that engageful energy, right? That mutable energy. And it's beautiful energy where we can truly be expressive and creative and communicative, and we can move and flow with changes, and we can search and find what intellectually inspires us. And under the sign of the Virgo sun, we can combine these energies and we can truly perfect ourselves in creative and expansive ways, right? It's beautiful energy. That Aquarius energy is the star card. It's that wish fulfillment. It's that striving, that growth, that imagination. It's restless and intellectual and moody, but it's beautiful, right? It's beautiful. So that's the energy of the moment. That's the energy of the moment. And I wanted to read to you guys a poem just about this kind of mutability of energy. And it's by Percy Shelley. It's called Mutability. We are as clouds that veil the midnight moon. How restlessly they speed and gleam and quiver, streaking the darkness radiantly. Yet soon night closes round and they are lost forever. Or like forgotten lyres whose dissonant strings give various response to each varying blast, to whose frail frame no second motion brings one mood or modulation like the last. We rest. A dream has power to poison sleep. We rise. When wandering thought pollutes the day, we feel, conceive or reason, laugh or weep, embrace fond woe, or cast our cares away. It is the same, for be it joy or sorrow, the path of its departure still is free. Man's yesterday may ne'er be like his morrow, not may endure, but mutability. Right? Not may endure, but mutability. Only that change is real, right? Only that change is real. And I really wanted to think upon this when we also look to the title of today's reading and we think about that energy. You know, the title is Go to the Depths of the Self and Embrace What You Find. When I was meditating this morning and drawing my cards, I drew the Hermit, Virgo herself. Beautiful, beautiful energy. Hecate and Demeter energy. That energy of searching for that lost love, going to the depths to find, right? That power to be alone and to perfect oneself, to radiate and shine in the dark, right? to go to the depths. But part of the thing is that we have to go to these places. We have to go to those things that scare us, and we have to embrace that other. We have to confront our fears. We have to face the demons. We have to face ourselves, and we have to admit about ourselves things that we are uncomfortable about, right? Recognize the mutability of the body and of the self. Recognize that you are only perceiver and that all else is transitory, right? All right, let's continue. We're now going to go to our Ganapati oracle. Ganapati Ganesha is the divine child, the Lord of beginnings, guardian of the threshold, and the master of the Ganas, the spirits. And we ask him, Ganesha, inspire us this evening, send us a message, and ensure that our words are heard by those who need to hear them. So Ganapati Ganesha, what is the message? Relaxation. Relaxation. Beautiful energy, needed energy, rewarding energy, right? We all need to relax and be in that body. We all need to relax and connect to that self, right? And now is that time. Also recognize that engagement with the self is a form of relaxation. There is joy to be found here. There's new conception of self to be found here. There's connection to the body. We all need that time. And in our modern society, we neglect relaxation. We condemn relaxation. But it is a necessary part of life. It is how you connect to your body, and it is how you find the depths of your being. Right? Let us continue. We're now going to go to our sortes. For those of you who are new and unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is, divination through literature. And it comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition, and we invoke the goddesses, the spirits of innovation, the muses. And we ask them to guide our hands, to send us a message through the text, and to inspire us. And today we're going to begin with the Divine Comedy by Dante. So muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Dante? Inspire us this evening. The thorn of repentance so pierced me then, that of all things those that had made me love them most now became most hateful to me. Wow. The thorn of repentance so pierced me then, that of all things those that had made me love them most now became most hateful to me. The pain of remorse, right? Why do we hate our loved ones? Because we recognize that we are connected to them most deeply. And we have caused them in many times the most pain, just through that connection, through the traversing of time, through the nature of our humanity, right? None of us are perfect. And though we strive for love, we always bring violence. And it's interesting that when you repent and you recognize the pain of your actions, that it's that love that brings you, right? That causes you to repent, that causes you have to repent. Interesting point there, Taz. This is the hermit talking, right? What does the hermit do? The hermit is the one who goes out into the cave, who breaks those relations and seeks repentance so that they can return to society forgiven. Also, the hermit is the one who breaks from society so that they don't have to have binds. They are freed from that binding, right? If you do not love, if you are not attached, then you do not have anything to repent for now, do you? You can focus on love of God, right? It's interesting. Interesting. But I'm always one who believes in the power of love. You know, the hermit is powerful and beautiful energy, and I connect to it deeply as a Virgo. And you know, I always see the hermit as that Hecate virgin energy, and it's wonderful. But you do not want to be bound in that monastic virginal energy for too long. It tends to cause a lot of violence to the self in overexposure. Like anything, it's always the middle way, it's always in balance. There are times in life when that is very necessary, when you need to be alone and confront the self. But we all need to be in that loving flow and connection. And better to repent, right, than to never love. All right, let's continue. Okay. Lorca, 3 tragedies. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Federico Garcia Lorca? Inspire us. All right. Take this. She gives her a round fan with green and red flowers. Bernarda, throwing the fan on the floor. Is that the fan to give to a widow? Give me a black one and learn to respect your father's memory. Oof. This is intense energy here. Intense energy. Because on one hand, we need to learn to embrace change and grow with the flowers, right? And move past death. But also recognize that there is extraordinary power in memory and in the morning and in that connection to the dead. And when we look at the mythology, right, we've been talking about the hermit in Hecate, right? Immediately I think of the story of Persephone, also Demeter, right? Demeter has her daughter taken from her. And through her mourning, through her wailing, through her cries, she is heard by Hecate. And Hecate takes pity on her and helps her find her daughter, who Hecate also heard in the abduction, right? But it is the wailing, it is the crying that causes us to be able to go back, to be able to connect, to be able to bring the dead back to life, you know? But we don't want to be bound in that remorse either. Again, it's all about that balance. Interesting. Let's continue. All right, we're now going to go to Book 4 by Aleister Crowley. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Crowley? Inspire us this evening. I am omniscient, for naught exists for me unless I know it. Isn't that quite the paradox? I am omniscient, for naught exists for me unless I know it. Can you say the same about yourself? All right, let's continue. Shiva in the primordial tradition. Okay, Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Shiva in the primordial tradition? Elaine Danilou, inspire us this evening. Curiously enough, in the modern West, music with certain features close to those of ecstatic music is no longer found in places of worship, but in quite different places like discos, where dancers experience the kind of hypnotic isolation and backbeat that is needed for mystical experience, which, if it were properly directed, could lead to the perception of supersensory realities. How beautiful is that? And it is so true. Any one of you who's into music, who goes to live music or goes to clubs, who's experienced that driving kind of musical beat, whether it's any kind of true dance music, electronic or otherwise, with a strong, repetitive heartbeat, you will be transported. If only you were in the right context. Wow, that's so beautiful. Love it. Okay, let's continue. Antonin Artaud. Watch fiends and rack screens. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Antonin Artaud? I did not know that the Americans were such warlike people. To fight, you must receive blows, and perhaps I have seen many Americans at war. But in front of them, they always had incommensurable armies of tanks, planes, battleships serving as shield. I saw a lot of machines fight, but I saw only in the infinite rear the men who drove them. Confronted by a people who make their horses, oxen, and donkeys eat the last tons of true morphine, which may be left to them in order to replace it with ersatz and smoke, I prefer the people who eat right out of the earth, the delirium that gave birth to them. I am speaking of the Tarahumaras. The Tarahumaras, who eat peyote straight from the soil while it is born, and who kill the sun in order to establish the kingdom of black night, and who split the cross so that the space of the space will never meet or cross again. The chthonic other, the naturalistic path, right? Born of the earth, and of the peyote, that understands the power in diversity and expansion rather than in conformity and uniformity, that seeks to spread across the earth in differentiation and to adapt and flow rather than to force its will through machinery and conformity. I'll leave you with one last thing here. In this way, you will hear the dance of the tutuguri. It's so beautiful. A mystery to explore. The Tarahumaras of Mexico are beautiful people. All right, let's continue. 10 Plays by Euripides. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Euripides? Inspire us. What will you say? Who says yes? Who refuses? Speak up to do it. If my words do not win you, I am ruined, and I am my poor brother. Wow. What will you say? Who says yes? Who refuses? Speak up to do it. If my words do not win you, I am ruined. I am my poor brother. You know, it's really interesting to think about these kind of situations in the context of Hellenism. You know, hospitality is second only to arete as the highest virtue. And this may seem paradoxical to us, but this is how it was. That acceptance of the stranger and the help offered to those in need was beyond important. In this kind of a situation, from that Hellenistic standpoint, you are duty bound to listen and to offer assistance, right? When we hear these stories of the Taurians, of the Colchians, of the Scythians, and there are these horrible monsters who behead and destroy outsiders for merely entering their lands and are beyond inhospitable. This is the demonic for the Greek, right? What is demonic from a Greek mindset? The refusal to accept the other, the refusal to give hospitality, the violence given to a stranger in need is the worst thing imaginable, just about. Right? Think about it. Interesting. Okay. We're now going to go to Marlowe, Dr. Faustus. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Dr. Faustus and Marlowe? Inspire us. But tell me now, what resting place is this? Hast thou, as erst I did command, conduct me within the walls of Rome? Okay, I have to read you the next line because this is ridiculous. But tell me now, what resting place is this? Hast thou, as erst I did command, conduct me within the walls of Rome? Mephistopheles says, Faustus, I have, and because we will not be unprovided, I have taken up his holiness's privy chamber for our use. Founds himself in Rome, but bound to the Pope's shitter. This is, again, this really interesting thing when you see that Luciferian energy. Be careful what you ask for, you know. Part of the thing with Lucifer is he gives you whatever you ask for. Gives you whatever you ask for. And unless you are absolutely clear, you know what the contract is, you've mastered the grammar, you understand the spelling, unless you get it all, you are not going to receive that, you know, you're not going to get what you truly think you want. And if you show up greedy, if you ask for things that are frivolous, it will always end badly. You'll get them, but it won't be what you imagined. Or maybe it'll be exactly what you imagined, and what you imagined is truly ugly. Maybe you will make it to Rome, but find yourself in the Pope's toilet. All right, let's continue. We're now going to go to Rebele, Gargantua, and Pantagruel. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Rebele? Inspire us. As for Nibbles, he has kept them off ever since he suffered a bad colic arising from the ignominious mistreatment metered out in the northern lands to his suppliers, the victuallers, the carbon grillers, and pork butchers. He dines very well on usurers, apothecaries, forgers, debasers of the coinage, adulterers of merchandise, and from time to time, when he's in a good mood, he makes a late night collation of chambermaids who drink some of their master's good wine and then top up the barley with smelly water. Oh, wow. Let me read this again. As for Nibbles, he is kept off them ever since he suffered a bad colic arising from ignominious mistreatment metered out in northern lands to his suppliers, the victuallers, carbon grillers, and pork butchers. He dines very well on usurers, apothecaries, forgers, debasers of the coinage, and adulterers of merchandise. And from time to time, when he's in a good mood, he makes a late night collation of chambermaids who drink some of their master's good wine and then top up the barrel with smelly water. Top up the barrels with smelly water. I just want to point that out. Someone will know. All right. He dines on usurers, apothecaries, forgers, debasers, and adulterers of merchandise. This to me sounds like Dionysus. Wow. Interesting. I'm not sure fully what to make of this. What do you think, chat? Lots of wine, smelly water. Let's continue. All right. Edgar Allan Poe. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Edgar Allan Poe? Inspire us. Yet in the fact of the world's view, how little there was there to remember. Think about this for a moment. From that universal world perspective, our lives, our battles, our struggles, our loves are all so minuscule, inconsequential, irrelevant, bound in limited time, right? What if you expand that even greater beyond the world to the galaxy, to our sun, to the universe? Think of the sheer magnitudes we're dealing with. Recognize the infinitely small and insignificance of all of this, of everything that we are bound up in, and how everything is in this constant state of transformation. It's a wild ride. It makes no sense. And all you can do is grab on for dear life. Right? I'm not saying that your stuff doesn't matter, but in the grand scheme, it's not so important. All right, let's continue. Hermann Hesse, Narcissus and Goldman. All right, Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Hermann Hesse? Inspire us this evening. As he stared at the fish, absorbed in his thoughts, he heard a low, friendly voice speak his name. Who's the fish but Aquarius? Are we not under the Aquarius moon? To me, the message here is pretty clear, right? Go out under that moon. Stare at that fish of the moon. Absorb in your thoughts and listen to the voice arise in your being. Connect to that muse. All right, beautiful. Let's continue. We are now going to go to Don Juan in Hell by Bernard Shaw. All right, Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Bernard Shaw? Inspire us this evening. The sober decency, earnestness, and authority of their declaration of the real purpose of marriage will be honored and accepted, whilst their romantic vowings and pledging and until death do us partings and the like will be expunged as unbearable frivolities. What is this nonsense? The sober decency, earnestness, and authority of their declaration of the real purpose of marriage will be honored and accepted. What is the real purpose of marriage? Whilst their romantic vowings and pledging and until death do us partings and the like will be expunged as unbearable frivolities. Oh, wow. They're calling it out for what it is, right? Marriage within that church is a transactional slave trade. And then, at least traditionally, right? Listen to the next line. Do my sex the justice to admit that we have always recognized that the sex relation is not a personal or friendly relation at all. What is the purpose of marriage then? But an exchange of property. Holy shit. And this is a woman calling it out. Right? This is another thing too. Often, we all know we've all met women who are their worst enemies. We've all met people, leopards ate their face. And we're seeing this on full display here. Oof, painful energy. Painful. No, okay. The real purpose of marriage is that loving communion, is that loving connection. It's to unite heaven and earth. Look at the marriage that we see, the central marriage of the Greco-Roman tradition, right? Persephone and Hades. Really what it is about is that coming together in transformation. Persephone is reborn, the queen of the earth. She ascends the throne and becomes that power of night, right? Hecate becomes her attendant. She becomes greater than her husband. Her husband is something that she commands. And then she gives birth to Plutus, right? The marriage of heaven and earth, of masculine and feminine, the divine child to come, right? Harpocrates, Telesphorus, the new and better way, right? Such beautiful energy, right? Yes, there's violence and negativity there, but it's about overcoming that, uniting these forces to end the conflict, right? We see the same thing embodied in the personage of Athena, right? This is that story, that alchemical wedding is uniting the masculine and the feminine to give birth to the child that is greater than the sum of their parents, right? But it is about that romance and that creation. It is not a transaction. My gosh. All right. Sorry. Okay. We're now going to go to Psychic Bible. All right. By Genesis Peorage and the Temple of Psychic Youth. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Genesis Peorage? Inspire us. Okay. Dogmas and orthodoxies and belief systems aside, experientially, amidst all this working with forces or energies, haven't you had some sort of experience that made you think, my sense of self in this body is only a convenient fiction? This is an interesting question to ask oneself, right? My sense of self in this body is only a convenient fiction. This is something I feel that many people can come to, this realization. When you learn to sit in that meditative mode, in true meditation, it's difficult, but it is worth it, right? It requires a lot of disciplined action, and it is difficult to maintain. I'm no expert, but I have been to that point where you get to this time where all of a sudden, all that is there is awareness. All that is there is awareness. And you feel the body, but you also feel removed from the body. And you recognize that while you can control the body is happy to do its own thing, and that is not you, right? That is not you. You are merely that awareness. Even the breathing, you're not in control of. Everything goes away. And all that is left is that perception. You are just that perceiver. The body is nothing more than a vehicle. It is something that you are bound to in this moment. It's important and definitive. And there's a deep relationship, but it is also something in which changes and transforms. goes through this constant evolution unto death, right? But perception remains. Let's continue. Gabriel Macari, Ore. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Gabriel Macari? Inspire us this evening. The Gnostics never hoped that any political or economic revolution could or even should do away with all the iniquitous elements within the system wherein the human soul is entrapped. Their rejection was not of one government or form of ownership in favor of another. Rather, it concerned the entire prevailing systemization of life and experience. Thus, the Gnostics were, in fact, knowers of a secret so deadly and terrible that the rulers of this world, the powers and secular religions, who always profited from the established systems of society, could not afford to have this secret known, and even less to have it publicly proclaimed in their domain. Indeed, the Gnostics knew something, and it was this, that human life does not fulfill its promise within the structures and establishments of society. For all of these are at best but shadowy projections of another and more fundamentally real reality. Right? Levels of perception and of awareness. The Gnostics were engaged in that universal flow, trying to expand and see life through the cycles beyond a single lifetime. They were trying to move beyond life and death and to escape the cycles and overcome the tyrant, right? Interesting. You know, I don't think the Gnostics were perfect, but they're certainly interesting. Certainly interesting. You know, and I think it's also important we recognize that all of these systems of control and protection that sustain us and protect us and lead us to uniformity and conformity in many ways do hurt us, right? And they take away from that essential thing. We saw that with Antonin Artaud. You know, in that chthonic realm, it is about expansion and diversity, right? About moving apart. And about learning to flow and adapt to nature, to harmonize with nature, to work in that uniformity where you're ever perfecting in that harmonious relationship, you know? And there is something we need to recognize that when we conform and we unite and we push ourselves into these kind of forms, it does in many ways create a lot of beauty, brings a lot of things together, and there is for a time protection, but it leads to stagnation. And what is the cost of creating these kinds of forms, right? You have to destroy the world around you. You know, you have to wreck everything to build this kind of thing, and then it cannot exist forever. You can't stop time. You know, you can't force your will upon reality. You have to learn to adapt and grow and expand. You know, these Apollonian structures will always fall. That doesn't mean we don't strive to build them, but we need to learn to adapt as well. And if we put too much within that, we can turn into that Saturnian force of destruction, where our own ignorance prevents us from growth, where we're so bound by our own creations that we consume ourselves, right? We consume ourselves, we consume our children. You know, you become that stagnant force. You know, sometimes that pursuit of security, that pursuit of community can be the greatest threat, as hard as that is to say, you know, and as paradoxical as it is to say, right? And notice how they weaponize these hopeful ideologies of conformity and uniformity against us, right? Let's continue. The Three Musketeers by Dumas. Muses, guide my hand. Inspire us this evening. Take those gentlemen, set them up against the wall, put their hats on their heads and their guns in their hands. Wow. I think the message here is about you let those guys engage in the fighting and in the uniforms. They can wear their hats and they can play in their games. Do not be bound to such trivial nonsense, right? Don't bind yourself to ideologies and uniforms. What is it? When I see the hat thing, the immediate thing I think about is that infamous George Carlin skit where he's talking about religion. And he's like, what is with all the religions and funny hats? Why do they always, you got to wear a hat or no hats, or you got to have this hair or that hair, right? It's all uniform. It's all ridiculous. It's all about creating divisions and setting you guys up so that you fight each other over nothing. So put their guns in their hands and let them go play fight, and the rest of us can go do something else, right? It's so ridiculous. Like, quit playing army, right? I look at a lot of this politics now, and it's just team sports, right? It's just so silly. It's just so silly. Half the people don't even know what anyone's talking about. Not that it would matter if they did, but you know what I mean, right? It's just go red team, go blue team, yada, yada, yada. No, thank you. Independent people and epic. All right. Laxness. All right, muses. What is the message from Laxness? Inspire us. Inspire us this evening. All right, here we go. These cities, you mustn't believe all that they tell you about cities. However, this woman has been asked to take you with her to America, and I understand that your uncle sent the money and that he wants you to stay with him so that you can learn some suitable trade. She sails on Saturday morning. Your mother had always thought of making something of you, so maybe you had better go. Oh, this is an interesting thing, right? Ugh, these cities. You mustn't believe all that they tell you about cities. However, right? I understand that your uncle sent you the money and he wants you to stay with him so that you can learn some suitable trade. Recognize that nothing is all bad, right? We're doing here a lot of just talk. And there are issues in the cities. There are also issues in the countries. And you go where you can go. You go where the muses guide you. And if you can learn something, a trade, right? A skill, then you take it, city or no, right? And to sail on an adventure. The muses always take you on an adventure, right? That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So don't always be too negative either, right? Go and flow and follow the muses and recognize the beauty in everything around you and in the moment. All right, let's continue. Okay. Oh, wow, we've been going a while, but I'm going to do a couple more, and then we'll get to our tarot proper. Okay. Parvati Darpana by Harsha Vidahasia. Okay. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Harsha Vidahasia? Okay, let me see here. Where's the pleasing sound of Tabor? Where's his particular drum, the Damaru? Where the set of fine drums and the inauspicious sound of his horn? This is beautiful. This is really, really beautiful because they're talking about the god Shiva. And Shiva carries normally with him the Damaru, which is a type of drum that has, excuse me, two drum skins on either side, and it has a series of balls that are tied upon string. And when you rock it back and forth, it'll hit the drums. make a beat. But what's interesting here, and the tabor is another type of drum that you would hit with the stick. But they also talk about the horns. Well, what's interesting here to me is the parallel we see to the Greek tradition and the importance of this. The followers of the Great Mother and of Dionysus always have the drum. Always have the drum. And we learn in the refutations of heresies that the drum is one of the passwords, the Orphic passwords that grants you access to the afterlife, right? It's part of the experience. The drum is also a plate. It's beyond important. Cybele always carries the drum. Attis always carries the drum. Shiva always carries the drum. And they're always dancing and singing. And there's always a clash of cymbals and of horns, right? They got to scare away Hera so that Dionysus can be born. They got to chant and call him in to life in that celebration and that joy in the triumph of his birth, right? It's interesting. And Shiva, when he's in that form of the Nataraj, the cosmic dancer, he calls into creation through that beat of the drum and his dance, right? It's that cycle. Beautiful. Wow. Let's continue. Our last sortes we're going to do of Cosmogonic Eros by Ludwig Klages. Okay. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Ludwig Klages? Inspire us. Dijon points out that the 9-day mystery rite of a secret society of Hopi Indians in Arizona is similarly ended with the subterranean marriage between the snake hero and the snake virgin. Wow. The snake hero and the snake virgin, Bromios and Brimo, Persephone and Hades. How beautiful. I'm going to have to read more about the Hopi. That sounds incredible. I love it. But that's been such a theme here, right? This recognizing that our current, I believe the Sortes has been showing us a couple of key images here, that our modern society is not something we need to be trusting in. We need to be looking back to these more traditional peoples. But at the same time, it's not about abandoning our society either. You do and you move in your life, but you recognize and you try to look to these other forms for inspiration and for understanding and for clarity, right? And we see the issues in our institutions, and we look to these earlier forms as ways of approach of how we can heal the wounds of where we are at and where we should be returning to in this idea, learning from and adapting. It's also not about a direct thing either, right? We don't want to bring exact ideas from the past, but incorporate them, learn from them, and also this idea of the marriage, this love, this union, this coming together to give birth to the new, going through the cycles of creation and transformation, and recognizing this is a long form project. If we want to transform society and heal the wounds, to re-engage with nature, right? To move and flow, we're going to have to do this generationally. We're going to have to create and invest in the next generation. We're going to have to protect and love these children, give birth to the children, raise them and teach them in that harmony and that flow, right? Education is paramount. Is paramount. There's a reason why the powers that be always come for education and try to limit perspective, right? Okay, we're now going to go to our tarot proper. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. And if any of you are interested in a private reading, please reach out. You can find me, Snappy, ddts@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Myth and Lore Discord. I'm Snappy or Lady Snappy. All right. Thoth Tarot by Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. And we are going to invoke Saturn and ask them to dissect our life, to cut it up and put it on the plate, to show us our current issues, to show us how to rise above, to how to best move and flow, and how to actualize our true will. All right. We had a card shoot out at us, and the message is swiftness. Our passions, our loves, this is coming in quick. Change. The herald of Hermes, right? That powerful, flowing, fiery energy. That angelos is coming. Movement, transformation, and flowing with that fire. What is this about? Let's see. It's about expansion. But there's worry here, you know. This transformation and this movement, it is an expansion and it's a growth. It's us building upon that stability of the four, our power and our security, moving outside of our security and trying to expand this, to build that tower, to connect in harmony with others, and to build our foundation, our home, our dreams, our reality, to manifest. But there's worry here. There's a fear that this is happening quickly and that it's moving. And we don't know how it's going to turn out. And it's about connecting to that fiery Queen of Wands, that muse, that inspiring woman, that artistic creator, that beautiful shining light, right? That powerful feminine energy. I think of Circe, Cybele, right? It's that feminine energy of that is pride and powerful, the one who asserts her will upon the world around her, right? Intense energy. Let's see where this is going. You wished for her, right? We wished for this connection, to connect to the muse. You know, Hermes is coming in quick because Hermes is here. We embodied that hermetic energy. We gave voice. We spoke the story into being. We called that love into reality. And we must approach it, right? We must continue to move and flow. We have to overcome the worry and continue in expansion. It's happening quickly, right? We wish for this. See where this is going. Yeah. Beautiful energy. The Hermit. We saw the Hermit today. Now we're seeing him reflected in the cards. That Hecate Demeter energy. That going to the depths of the self and shining a light. Right? This is about learning and recognizing, right? This is your true desire. This is the way that reality is meant to unfold for you. The muse, in the pursuit of the muse, in this way, in your current iteration, is necessary, right? This is about going to the depths of the self, finding that true will, and calling it into reality. Yeah, there was a deep victory. There was a deep victory here, right? There was a finding of what you wanted. There was a finding of where you were going or what you needed, right? And what you needed and what you wanted, the universe has decided it's her, right? Beautiful. But that's going to require you to move out of this energy, right? As you call her forth in order to connect. That's part of the reason why this worry is here and it's painful. You know, that hermit energy, to be able to see our true self, requires that isolation. But now it's about moving out of that isolated energy, right? Which is by necessity selfish, right? And now we have to move into love and connection, change, growth. There's going to be some pain here and some rockiness, but it is beautiful. Hence the worry. Hence the worry, right? Let's continue. Interesting. The key to this energy here, to connect to that muse, right? And what we're wishing and becoming, it's about embodying this energy. That Queen of Capricorn, right? We want to be that loving teacher who's connected to self and to will, who's in the present and has the ability to build and to manifest, to create and to protect and to sustain. That powerful managerial director energy, the builder, the one who is connected and can manifest and protect. Powerful energy, right? Move it in quick. Let's see. It's about balancing this energy too. You see, what I'm seeing here is that, part of the reason why we have this worry here is that there's a need for wrestling with this energy. This energy is good because it allows us to build, but there's also a negativity here, right? As we embody this hard worker, that one who is diligent and who manifests and who's directed, she also is that worrier by necessity, right? By necessity, always preparing and building and projecting and imagining. But it can become negative. They can see enemies where there are none. They can imagine that they can't expand, right? They can prevent their own growth through that overprotectiveness, right? Sometimes this is that energy of not allowing your children to leave the home, right? Being that overprotective mother, right? So we need to bring in the balance too with this energy, right? This worry is materializing not only because we're expanding out of this interior mode where we were exploring the self in isolation, but because we need to balance this building energy. We can't be too obsessed with the future. We can't be too hard in trying to build things too quickly, right? This is not bad energy. It's beautiful, necessary energy. This is the right energy to build the tower, but you got to keep her in that adjustment. Yeah, use that energy with reason. Use that energy with reason. It is beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. Lots of change coming. That news is on the way. The love is here. Victory is achieved. All that is necessary right now is about just keeping that message is coming. That pursuit is coming. We're growing past this, Wow. All right, I'm going to flip my camera and we'll explore the full square. But before I do, once again, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, reach out, snappydts@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Myth and Lore Discord, Snappy or Lady Snappy. Okay, here we go. So here is our full square, and we start here. Yeah, the worry's here because we need to make this adjustment. We need to learn how to think about others and to incorporate and have a more expanded view. The kind of worry here is natural, and it's just about adjustment. It's just about adjustment. And, we are going through this process as we are embodying this queen energy here, that Capricorn, that builder energy. But we just need to be reasonable about this. Reasoned, balanced, right? All the right things are here. We're just a little bit worried because it's not materializing fast as we wish, right? We really want this now. And that's part of the problem. We're wishing for it. We're building for it. We want it yesterday. Slow down for a second. Slow down for a second. She's here. You've won. Be fucking reasonable about it. Okay? That's the message. Be reasonable about it. Quit worrying so much. Things are moving in flow. This is coming in hot as it's going to come. Okay. Right? We wish for this. We're embodying this energy. We're becoming this mature person. We're ascending the mountain and drawing down that star, which is that muse. That's beautiful. Yeah. And this is victorious. Right? And we were victorious through reason. And it's about also connecting to her, right? Connecting to her, as we always see with the swords. The swords are about balance of perspective. And that victory too. You achieve victory when you bring in other people to help and to work. And part of this is also recognizing that your victory and that your reason is dependent upon the muse. It's dependent upon this shared connection with that energy. The Capricorn cannot do it on her own. She cannot manifest her reality alone. She needs to connect, right? That's when the victory comes. That's when the reason comes. You know? Let's continue. And now we look across here. Yeah, right? This change is coming in quick, right? We are moving out of that hermit energy and we're connecting to her. And this is going to be a big transformation. And the message is just to see that it's happening and that this is fated. And though it may seem like it's taking a while, it's not. And pretty soon you'll wake up and your world will be different. You won't be the hermit anymore. You will be the queen of discs, right? Let's see here. Yeah, you need to adjust and accept this fire that's coming into your life. It's coming in quick. The victory is here. She's here. And you're going to have to adjust to this. This big change coming, right? That fire is different than that earth energy that you are manifesting, which is great. It can work in harmony. It can be beautiful, but it will require that balancing. As much as you need to balance her energy out and be in reason so you're not worrying, you're going to need to balance out this success and this passionate fire as it comes in, because it's going to be different as you expand and you move from that hermit to that queen. Love it. It's beautiful energy, right? Quit worrying. Keep doing what you're doing. Be reasonable about it. Recognize that you're in that connection with the muse and keep moving towards her. The victory is here. Change is coming quick. You asked for this. It's beautiful, right? Just make some minor adjustments. Well, everything is going as it should. I love it. I love it. What a beautiful reading. Usually you don't see readings that nice and harmonious, but this one was really harmonious, you know, right? That worry is only one away from the 6, which is that perfect balance. Slight adjustment and you're there. All right. We're going to do one final message and then we'll call it an evening. We are going to go to Antonin Artaud. Watch fiends and rack screams. Okay. Use this. Guide my hand. What is the message from Antonin Artaud? Inspire us this evening. I say from above time, as if time were not a French fry, were not this crocked fry of all the fribalized of the threshold, re-embarked in their coffin. I read this one just the bloody other day. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Are we not just being hollowed out, disconnected, lost, externalized? Connect to the depth of the self. Embrace what you find. Do not become a hollowed out French fry, please. Love the self, okay? Beautiful. All right. Peace and love, everyone. I hope I see you again tomorrow for more live tarot and sortes. Take care.